Hello and welcome students to our latest lesson on tube lessons. Today we are going to deal with the proper use of who and whom. Now this is something that tends to confuse a lot of us. When we use who, how to use who, and when actually do we use whom, and how actually we do use whom. We often get confused between the usage of these two words. Now, the first thing first. Who and whom, of course, are used. Who and whom are only used when we are dealing with people, not objects. Who and whom are, of course, used when we deal with people and not objects. For that, we have got that or which that is. But who and whom are only used, of course, when we are talking about people. And then we need to get a bit clear regarding the concept of subject and object. The subject. A subject is that part of a sentence about which the sentence is being actually uttered. When we say a sentence, the person or thing or place about which we are saying that sentence is the subject of that sentence. And a subject is often the doer of the action. Whereas we also need to get clear about the concept of object, because what we need to remember is that whom is always the object, whereas who is the subject. So whom will always be at the receiving end. Whom will always be at the receiving end, whereas who will always be the doer of the action. Let us read these sentences as examples that I've chosen for you first, and then we'll again come back and get some sort of explanation. Say the first sentence, number 1, for whom are you waiting? Number 2, for whom do we sing this song? Whereas sentence number 3 says, who is waiting? Let us move on to the next example. Who sings the song? See, if we do come back to our first example, we must not get confused regarding the subject of this sentence. Whom? We often do this mistake that we think that because this is at the beginning of the sentence, so we often think that because this comes at the beginning of the sentence, then this must be the subject. But that is not the case. The subject is here the doer of the action. So who is waiting? You are waiting. So you is the subject, whereas whom is the object, the receiver of the action. For whom are you waiting? That is why we use whom over here and not who. Again, look at this sentence. For whom do we sing this song? Whom is of course not the subject but the object, and the subject is we. Whom is again at the receiving end of this action. So these are the cases when we do use whom and not who. Whereas if we do read the third sentence, who is waiting? Who is waiting? Here, of course, who is the subject and who is the doer of the action? Who is waiting? Let us move on to the next example. Who sings this song? Who sings the song? So who again is the subject and is the doer of the action. Always remember this, that who will be the subject and who does the action, whereas whom will act as an object and it will always receive the action. Now, for your help, so that we can do away with every bit of confusion, we might also say that who actually, the action that who performs corresponds with the action that he performs. I'm saying he because it sounds similar to who. And whom, the action that whom performs, the function that it functions in the same way as him functions. See, who sounds similar to he and both function the same way, and whom sounds similar to him, and again whom and him, they function in the same way. So this is how who and whom are used. This is how who and whom functions, and we do hope that again we at Tube Lessons have been able to be of some help to you people, and we sincerely hope to meet you soon. For testing your understanding of this lesson and more videos, log on to www.tubelessons.net.